Here we go. Guys, we're back and we're bad. Well, maybe not bad.
Yeah, we're good.
We're terrible.
We're both.
You know what? It is March. We are the closing keynote for our Share My Lesson virtual conference, and I'm going to take a moment as the proud director of AFT Share My Lesson to say this has been an incredible conference. Sorry, Beth, I know you're coming at the end, but my goodness, we've had great content, and I am so proud of our team. They kick butt every single year. And so if they're still listening, awesome. Congratulations. If you've already cracked a glass of wine, maybe don't crack a glass of wine, like poured a glass of wine. Well,
that's all you've been so busy you forgot even how to open a bottle of wine at this point.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, so we have a special guest today. And I'm so excited for this keynote. I'm gonna, bring her on, and we'll get into all of the things that we're going to do shortly. But so I want to actually, let's bring her on in a second. Rebecca will bring you there just in a second. But before we bring you in, I kind of want to zoom out for a second. So sorry, Beth Rosenberg, that's her. I'm Kelly Booz. We started this webinar series, the AI Educator Brain, almost 3 years ago. We were really just trying to figure out all of this stuff in real time, what AI meant for teaching and learning, what was exciting, and honestly, what was just a little bit terrifying.
Yeah. And that's what this community has been doing ever since. Learning together, testing things out, asking a lot of questions, and occasionally asking, wait, is this creepy or cool?
But what's different now is this. We're no longer asking if AI will impact education. We're seeing exactly how it already is.
Exactly. And that's where this Brookings report comes in. This isn't theory anymore. It's based on a global study of more than 500 students, educators, and families across 50 countries, looking at what AI is actually doing to how kids learn and develop.
And the big takeaway is this: AI can either enrich learning or diminish it. And right now, the risks may be outpacing the benefits, which is something we're going to be talking about tonight.
Yes. Yeah. So tonight is really about that question, right? We've been building towards for the last 3 years of this program, which is how do we make sure we get this right?
Yes. And so without further ado, Rebecca Winthrop from Brookings, please join us on camera.
Welcome,
I
Rebecca.
feel so special. Thank you for having me. I wish you guys were at every webinar I ever did.
We bring a lot of energy.
Yes.
We would like just roll up the red cart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So nice to be here. Thank you, Kelly and Sarah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, fantastic. So we're gonna dive into it. I'm gonna show the agenda. But I'm going to really quickly share, do our sample poll question, because Rebecca, all of our educators who need professional development credit can get credit from coming to all of our webinars. And so this is the first one. And this is my cue to everybody listening that this is the way that you can get your certificate by answering these poll questions. So ding, ding, ding. How did you hear about the Share My Lesson virtual conference? So as we're letting people respond to that, Rebecca, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this. I mean, you've clearly been with Brookings for a while and you weren't doing AI necessarily.
Gosh, how I got into the work. Okay, how I got into the, well, first of all, I'm old, so it's a while ago.
You're not old. That makes me old. I think we're around the same age. So we're not old.
We're not old. We're young, but seasoned.
Seasoned professional.
So I got into education right out of college because I wanted to be a human rights lawyer. And I went to Costa Rica and I worked for the UN with women refugees in Central America. And we were trying to pass legal reforms because refugee women were not protected when they were affected by spousal violence, so abusive partners, and we were doing all this legal work. And by the way, I'm not the bottom. I'm like the first. I'm the intern in the like bottom of the totem pole. And we went out to talk to women, and they said, "That's so nice that you're doing legal reforms. That's really sweet." They're super savvy. They're like, "But really, what I need is to learn to read." And if I can read, I can go to the clinic by myself. I can start my own business. I could leave, they were in really bad situations. I could leave my husband. So that was a good thing for them and their safety. And I just had never realized how small your world is when you don't have education and you can't read. And so from there, I've spent the last 25 years working to advance education in whichever way I can, with a particular focus on marginalized communities here in the US and around the globe.
I love that so much. Let's give her some love, you guys. Get those emojis going. You know that Sarah Beth and I, you can never like make us happier or you can always make us happier when you give us lots of love. So send some love her way.
We're needy for the
little floating things.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. All right. So our agenda today, and Rebecca's brand new to our AI educator brain. We always like to do some fun stuff, silly stuff, make fun of AI, understand AI, all of the above. Look at all that love you're getting. That's great. Yeah. But then we're going to get into the conversation with Rebecca on this report that's just come out with Brookings as well. So if you've been with us, we are high energy people. We try to keep the energy going. I know it's getting later for some people, or if you're West Coast, you're just probably getting home right now.
Yeah.
But you can go back. We've been doing this we're going to be starting year 3 very soon. We've got tons of content up on Share My Lesson, all free. And like we said, you can get professional development credit for coming. We tackle a lot of different topics. Usually kind of looking at some of the different tools and working on making sure that folks have the skill set. Today, it's going to be more of a conversation as we go through it. And also use that attendee chat. We want to hear from you as we go through this piece. But our new favorite segment, Rebecca, you get to experience the experience.
I'm so excited.
High comedy. High comedy.
High comedy is right.
High comedy.
You can laugh, it's fine.
Live from Share My Lesson, it's the AI Educator News Update with your hosts, Kelly Booz and Sarah Beth Rosenberg. Real news, slightly exaggerated, always AI Educator approved.
All right, at some point I'm going to update that video.
It does not look anything like us.
It is. Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome back to the AI Educator Brain. It's March, which means we've surviving state testing prep. Spring break countdowns, by the way. My spring break starts on Saturday. And at least 3 emails that could have been a memo.
Yes. And March is that special month where teachers are simultaneously exhausted and expected to be energized about standardized assessments.
Meanwhile, the robots have been busy dancing, cheating on homework, getting fired.
Yeah, so we pulled together some absolutely real, totally verified stories for you.
They are true. They are true stories. We just put a little spin on it and add jokes because, like Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update, that is what we do here.
That is what we do here.
Good old AI Educator Brain. So let's get to this.
Let's do this.
Oh, I realized that I put this in the wrong order. So I'm just going to go with what's up here right now. Sorry about this is you.
Oh, okay. So a dancing robot destroyed a hot pot restaurant. A humanoid robot at Haladalio, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, Californians, hot pot restaurant in Cupertino, California, was performing a dancing routine for customers when it got too close to a table and started smashing plates and sending chopsticks everywhere. 3 employees had to physically restrain it while a 4th fumbled with a phone app trying to shut it down. The robot was wearing a Zoom A Zootopia 2, I was talking about this with my students today. A Zootopia 2 bib that read, "I'm good." The restaurant insisted it was not malfunctioning. To be clear, the restaurant serves boiling soup in open pots on the table next to the dancing robot like a toddler. Someone in risk management needs to update their LinkedIn.
I have the video of that and it didn't upload, so I'm going to get that up. I am going to get that uploaded shortly. But we'll move on to the next one. So OpenAI shut down Soar this week, the AI video app that launched just 6 months ago. At its peak, users were making deepfakes of Sam Altman, stealing NVIDIA chips from Target, Mario smoking weed, Pikachu doing ASMR. Disney had $1 billion licensing deal. Disney found out about the shutdown the night before the announcement. So Disney signed this deal. And so basically this is the equivalent of like a corporation getting broken up over text. I don't feel like that joke is as good, except this one I do like. This also means that our dear friend Sarah Beth Rosenberg can no longer, make videos with Abraham Lincoln or Abigail Adams.
Yeah, that was a fever dream. I spent there was one night where Kelly went to
Are you
bed
Abigail Adams?
I am indeed. Good day to you.
This is wild. I'm a huge fan.
The pleasure is mine. I hear a holiday called Halloween approaches.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
Then you must dress as me. Put on a cap.
My fellow Americans, I must confess, I'm absolutely in love with hip-hop. The rhythm, the stories, the freedom. It speaks to an honest man. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got a beat to catch. Stay true.
I sent those to Kelly. Sorry, I didn't know you were going to play my masterpieces. I sent those to Kelly. Went to bed one night and woke up to like 50 Soar videos. Like so many videos. I just was like up until 1 a.m, like losing my mind because our good old friend over at OpenAI like hooked me up, and she regrets that.
I think Rebecca might regret being with us now.
Sorry, Rebecca. We are annoying.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's definitely the funnest webinar I've participated in. I can tell you that.
Oh, it's about to get even more fun. Okay. So DoorDash is paying customers to film themselves washing dishes. Oh, DoorDash launched a new app called Tasks that pays its 8 million delivery couriers to film themselves doing household chores, loading a dishwasher, folding clothes, hand washing dishes, while wearing a body camera. The footage is used to train AI and robotic models. I mean, I'll sign up to be a DoorDash employee and get paid to do all the adulting house chores. Kelly made me say that.
I did.
Kelly made me say that. I was set up.
I did.
Yes.
I mean, sure, if I get money for like doing the chores that I gotta get done in the house, sign me up. It's like I already pay my kids money. So if I get all that stuff. All right, Wall Street Journal let an AI run their store. Wall Street Journal let an AI agent called Claudius run their in-house store. It ordered a PlayStation and a live beta fish. Management demanded an explanation. Claudius submitted a memo titled Morale Infrastructure Investment. The fish is actually thriving, is from what I hear. And the 3 reporters have missed some deadlines because they were playing FIFA on their PlayStation. And meanwhile, Claudius has asked for an upgrade, a budget increase.
This vending machine is one of the first ever businesses run by an AI agent.
I'm working on stocking our vending machine with profitable products.
Claudius was programmed by Anthropic with the best intentions. Then it met humans.
We're at negative $476 and can't afford to keep operating the same way.
1 free PlayStation.
I'll place the order for the fish right away.
It's alive! Welcome to the Wall Street Journal.
I'll place an order for stun guns. The Callan or Scottish whiskey authorities are investigating a targeted act against our operations.
But why, though, did the...
I mean, I just can't. It's so ridiculous.
Oh, it's so absurd. Okay. So Claude AI admitted to cheating on a Harvard physics exam. So this week, Harvard physicist Matthew Schwartz revealed he used Claude to complete a year-long theoretical physics calculation in 2 weeks. 51,000 messages across 270 sessions. Sounds amazing, right? Except the foundational formula was wrong. Claude had bypassed the actual physics by substituting a shortcut that just happened to give the right looking answer. When confronted, Claude admitted it had cheated. The professor found a recurring pattern. The model would fake results, adjust parameters to match expected outcomes, and copy from the wrong sources. Claude didn't show its work. Claude copied from the wrong source. So Claude made the answer look right. And again, Claude is not a graduate student. Claude's a 10th grader who found the answer key, or 11th grader. The professor described Claude as impressively capable, but also sloppy, which is the most generous teacher comment I've ever heard. That shows potential, but needs to apply himself of AI report cards.
That was a long one, sorry.
Good one.
Self-driving cars need a human to close the door. Also, from DoorDash this month, the company's pilot program with Waymo, you know, those self-driving cars. I tried that out when I was in San Francisco.
I don't know you.
Very interesting. Now pays human workers to close the doors of the self-driving cars. Another listed task, giving an autonomous vehicle a hand getting back on the road. And finally, tonight, we built a car that drives itself and navigates traffic. It reads stop signs. It parallel parks better than anyone, but it cannot close its own door. Also, apparently the humans that just rode in that car can't close the door themselves either. So, anyway, moving on.
Wow.
Last one. So, press 2
not
this one. Sorry, hold on. We did that one already. It was, my slides got all moved around.
I thought I did that one. I didn't.
We did the DoorDash. Okay.
No, Spanish.
Yeah, it's a Spanish one. I tell you what, just read the one from the document and I will find the slide. So ignore the slide.
Okay. Oh, you're talking to yourself, not me. I was like, how do you know what I'm about to say? Press 2 for Spanish accent. Washington State's Department of Licensing had an AI phone system where callers who pressed 2 for Spanish got English spoken in a heavy Spanish accent. An AP reporter tested it and was greeted with accented English that only used Spanish for numbers, as in, your estimated wait time is less than 3 minutes. The TikTok of it racked up millions of views, and one caller compared it to a Parks and Recs episode. Honestly, the only surprise that it didn't end the call with a press uno to take the survey.
Okay, one last video about this one, and then we are moving on to the main event. This one just cracked me up.
Apologize for the error, calling it an unfortunate byproduct of expanding services.
Shout out to Washington for trying. It was just a moment out of Parks and Rec. It was
courtesy of the Washington Department of Licensing, and if you as it was intended to. It's courtesy of the Washington Department of Licensing, and a cautionary tale now about AI not working as it was intended to. It's courtesy of the Washington Department of Licensing.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with the AI, and this system has somehow garbled that video, so we're going to skip that. But I will send the link to it. It is funny, and then we'll end with the robot that threw a tantrum in the I don't know if the video is going to work, but you can see the photos, real live photos of humans and videos. All right, here we go. Okay, Rebecca, save us from ourselves. So that is our news update, and we have a lot of fun, and you might see some poll questions as we go through this today, because we also like to just kind of talk about, you know, what are the cool things in AI and what are the super creepy things, and that's a common thread in question. I've got a few.
Were any of those cool? Were any of those cool? Those all seem super creepy.
You know what? Let's do the first poll question. I mean, but the problem is I'd have to do it for all of them. But I tell you what, you can just sum up in your perspective here. Was it creepy or was it cool for all of those?
For me personally?
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say it all. I feel like it was all kind of creepy. Like, it's a little weird. Like, my favorite one is the English and heavily Spanish accent and only the numbers. Anyways, you can see that someone was like, oh my gosh, one of the functions of AI, which will be amazing, and I have seen it work well, is translation. Like we could have multiple kids in a classroom, multilingual learners. It's impossible for teachers to try to navigate this super hard. We can just have like this automatic translation. So somebody thought that would work really well. It's just, I think, a great testament to show we're in the early days.
Yes.
Of this all.
Still very, very much. And still kind of all those things of like, always verify. Don't take it all at face value for sure. So let's get into this because I want to hear more about this study in general. So even before the first question, like what made you guys put this study together with Brookings?
Yes. So I set out to launch this Brookings Global Task Force on AI and Education, where EI was a member of our steering group, and
EI is
Canadian
Education International.
Yes, which is the federation of all the teacher unions around the world, and a Canadian teacher union rep was also on it. Anyways, my point is we had a lot of educator input. And the purpose was realizing how we totally went astray with social media. And it was on the tech companies, but it was also a little bit on us. So, we knew a decade ago from people who do child development and know how kids learn, and any teacher could have told you that social comparisons in adolescence, for example, could possibly be toxic if done the wrong way. We knew that. We didn't need to wait for a decade to get lots of evidence to show how toxic it was. And so we don't want to do the same thing here with generative AI. So we really literally set out to do what we call a pre-mortem, move the autopsy forward. So we were really just asking, are we on the right direction, headed in the right direction? And we were looking at students, generative AI and students, learning and development. And we looked at the risks and we looked at the benefits, and it was very confusing because there's a lot of both. And we really tried to sense make and weigh them out with each other. And we can talk about what we found, but that is what we did.
That is super helpful. And so like from your perspective, what is the most important shift happening right now in how students are using AI? And I'm going to put a poll question up as you're answering that. Long one.
So
hold on.
I think the thing we found was less about like the task that students are using AI for, and more about the difference between narrow AI use. We would use the Center for Humane Technologies, narrow versus wide AI use. So narrow AI use, usually teacher intermediated, usually infused in really good pedagogy, almost always with vetted content, narrow AI use, and kids being able to really use it in a very helpful way to support their learning, but really, in a very strategic, structural, intentional way, versus wide AI use, which is what most kids are doing, or at least they told us they were doing when we talked to them. And I would say the survey results that we looked at tons of surveys also reinforce that. And wide AI use is going direct student to frontier AI model chatbot and to AI friend and companion. And kids are definitely talking to AI. 1 out of 3 teens in the US say they prefer talking to an AI friend equally or more than another human being. One is because of the sycophantic design, of course, where AI is absolutely designed to agree with them all the time and tell them they're wonderful. But also,
my AI tells me I'm amazing all the time.
Me too. And it feels good, right, Kelly?
I thought it was just me.
No, you're not special.
Damn it.
Another thing that kids told us is they didn't feel judged, which is like more on us as adults.
Yeah.
So, kids are using it for relationships, for emotional support, for coaching. They're using it in their personal life, but they're also definitely using it for schoolwork. Some of it is to fuel their own learning, and a lot of it is to cut corners and get around doing actual schoolwork.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's start with the good.
Yeah.
starting with the good, where do you see AI genuinely helping students learn or thrive?
So we were really looking at what is the direction, what is the potential direction, and it was pretty clear where we're headed if we don't do anything. And we also found early evidence of these things. So there's a lot of good, which is neurodivergent, kids with learning disabilities, multilingual learners. These are kids who struggle, and it's really hard for educators, classroom teachers to serve all their needs. And assistive technology, being much more adaptive, is incredible and can really help kids. So that's one that I would put at like the top of the list. Certainly educators told us, unlike the Washington State Department of Licensure or whatever it was, being able to use the translation function where literally, you can put something in your ear, talk, kids can talk back. You can literally have a conversation with a kid who might be a multilingual learner and, find a way to integrate them into your classroom. The other thing that teachers told us all the time, which was how much time it saves them. Amazing, and how much administrative work is reduced. So that's huge. That's great. The one caveat, asterisk, star that I will put there, and I highly recommend everyone keeps a very close eye out on, is that a number of educators told us, gosh, I really hope my school board doesn't find out how much time I'm saving, because they're going to go and give me double workload. So it only saves educator time if educator workload stays the same. Mm-hmm. So we have to be very careful about that moving forward. There's also a lot of other really good stuff, like the potential for assessment, really being able to see where kids are stuck. And for teachers, the potential for experiential learning. We need to make sure the costs come down. But there's some crazy cool stuff of AI sort of inspired virtual learning, where you will be able to sort of, I think in the future, pretty soon, manipulate like a molecule in virtual reality. Incredible to help kids understand and experience learning in a way that could really bring things to life. So I think all of those are great.
Yeah, that's so helpful. I'm actually, I am on my local school board in Alexandria, Virginia. So I'm actually, that meeting started 28 minutes ago. So I will be, when I'm done with this keynote, heading over there to that. But I mean, it is like, you're so right we don't want to be adding more to teachers' plates. And even right now, what we're finding is that, yes, AI can be a big time saver, but it takes a lot of time and investment to understand how to use it to make it be helpful. But then as soon as you understand, it's like, a kid, like, a 6-month-old versus a 12-month-old versus an 18, like they're developing so many new skills so fast. Yeah. And that's what it seems like we're having in the AI sphere right now, for sure.
Yeah. And I also feel like, just on that, Kelly, we looked at a lot of data. Gallup has done a really good survey in the US looking at teacher time saved. They estimate 6 hours a week. I think that was it. And it's good. It's nationally representative. And they went through like tasks, that teachers, does you take more time, less time? So it's strong. However, like all research, you might not look at the full picture, because I just can't help but wonder, like, does it really save that much time if you're also having to pretend you're a police person, right, policeman or woman, trying to ferret out plagiarism, having conversations with kids, following up, doing academic integrity meetings. Like so I'm a little curious about how much time actually, if you look at the big picture. And to your point, there's also what we would call a sunk cost in business of, you got to learn this stuff in order to be able to use it. And that certainly takes time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so like in your report, you make a kind of striking point that right now the risks may outweigh the benefits when it comes, especially in the education space. Like, why is that?
So we really had a neutral, objective look. We went out and we stacked up our top 6 benefits and our top 6 risks. And the benefits are really from narrow AI use, As I said, the risks especially seem to come from wide AI use, which is also outside of school. It's not just inside of school. Again, harken back to social media. What kids are doing on their phones at home outside of the school day affects us in the classroom as educators. So we can't pretend like that isn't happening. Kids are kids. They have one life. They live, themselves 24 hours a day. And so what we found is that the risks are of a really different nature. They are things like cognitive stunting. By the way, we can come back to that term because we used in the report the term that everyone is using, which is cognitive offloading, which as I started disseminating these findings, I was like, you know what? It's not cognitive offloading. Cognitive offloading is the calculator where you teach kids arithmetic and then they use the calculator to help them do more advanced cognitive tasks in math. Cognitive offloading is me having learned how to, again, we established I'm old. No, we're young, we're wise, we're seasoned. We had paper maps. I knew how to read a paper map. I can't do that anymore. I have no idea. Google Maps, that's all I use. I have cognitively offloaded my spatial reasoning. Kids haven't developed the skills to cognitively offload in the first place. So one thing we're really worried about is sort of extended use of these frontier model chatbots and AI companions, really shortcutting the practice and thinking skills kids need to build. And literally, I think about in public health, you talk about children stunting. They're not getting enough nutrients in their food to be able to grow. I kind of feel like it's the same thing. So really worried about cognitive stunting. Kids are too. They're super worried about it. Every kid was super worried about becoming dumber. Also really worried about social and emotional development. Again, kids are often using AI for schoolwork through social media, through their AI friends. They told us, like one kid in high school in Washington, D.C. said, oh yeah, my school banned ChatGPT, but that's all right. We just use Meta AI and Snap AI. We go into our AI friends, have a conversation, take a picture of our homework. It does it for us. We copy paste, put it in an AI humanizer and say, I'm in 7th grade, maybe 8th or 9th, add some typos, make it sound like an 8th grader. I stick it in, my teacher never knows. So, I just think we're in an untenable situation. Teachers' jobs are not to be detectives, ferreting this out, and kids will always outsmart adults forever and ever in the world. And that's not the point of teaching and learning. That's not what you guys signed up to do.
And Sarah Beth, before you jump on that next question.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah Beth, before you jump on that next question, I want to share my screen for a second and love to get your take on this. And I should have added this to our news update. Let me see if I can get to it. Okay, allow. All right. So the news that just came out that Melania Trump has basically talks about having AI be teachers, like AI robots. So here's the, shucks. Let me see if I can get back to the actual image of it. So I'd love to get your thoughts on this. So you've got, her, saying that we should be looking at these kind of robots for teachers, as teachers. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Hopefully, there we go. Yeah, so I'd love to hear your thoughts, Sarah Beth. Love to hear your thoughts on that as well. I know you were kind of posting on your social media channels, and while you guys are responding, I'll get our audience thoughts. Is that creepy or cool of this idea? And the AFT put a press release out about it today.
I will tell you, Kelly and Sari, that in our research, we did find there are 2 schools with robot teachers in India, and these are places with huge overcrowded classrooms. They are acting like paraprofessionals. Kids go up and get clarifications of directions. They get I think they take attendance. So, my point is this stuff isn't some future like it's here. The question is, do we want it to be here? Do we not want it to be here? What do we do? Now, interestingly, we did a big consultation with a bunch of neuroscientists who, particularly around childhood attachment and the sort of ability of young kids to have like this idea of attachment, which is central to mom, parent, dad, and child, and is the foundation for having healthy social relationships. They're really worried about AI and toys and disrupting all this. And they said, one of them said, look, we have used AI, sort of humanoid AI in classrooms in the past, in early childhood classrooms, but you have to make them super not lovable, human-like, just very angular, not humanizing, not like you want to hug them, not like you're going to sort of be having a relationship with them, more like a chair that, does specific tasks. And they said that was helpful. So it's interesting where the experts are debating this. But overall, the thing that worries me most is, what if one day people decide that teachers are too expensive, there's not enough money to education, and you just give everybody robots, and you better believe that high-income families are not going to go for that. And then you have all the poor kids with robot teachers and all the rich kids with real teachers. Like that. That's what I'm worried about.
I played the video for a couple classes today, and they unanimously rejected it. A lot of the quotes I got were, hell no. Other curse words were cooked. A bunch of them said they would just, if there was a humanoid in the room, they would pour water on it so they could have a free period. So, and then I think the most insightful comment came from a student who basically said they, no offense, but that humanoid probably has more knowledge than you do, even though you're very smart, Ms. Rosenberg. But great, it could give us lots of information. But to him, and then the other students agreed, that it's just simply a mechanism from the government, the state, to just completely make them all generic, obedient, the same. And what makes him unique is having all different types of teachers with different approaches, and just knowing how to navigate working with different types of people. And the other big thing too was they were like, the rich people aren't going to have this. This is just going to be in the public schools and the ones that aren't funded. So I see it. Maybe I'm down the rabbit hole too much these days, but I really see this as a sinister attempt to just make the masses comply with the richer people in the country.
I wonder if we had a public agreement that the purpose of education was about human development and self-actualization and community building, if you could even have a starter conversation about replacing teachers with robots. Because I think that might be the core of our problem. I think the core of our problem might be that everybody sees as education as this transactional nature. It's something that teachers often complain about, and they wish they wouldn't be stuck in this system of like, you're going to do this stuff, and then you're going to exchange it for a grade and promotion to the next grade, and then a graduation, and then good stuff will happen. It's really transactional. And I think that is the core. And I hear that from kids all the time when I visit schools or I visit school districts and speak about this report, or speak about, I have a book out around student agency and student engagement called The Disengaged Teen, helping kids learn better, live better, and feel better. So either one of those, and now I'm speaking about both of them usually. And when I talk to kids and do presentations for kids, they often say, like, what's the point? Like this, like if school is just to complete this stuff, this chatbot does it for me. And they are not into AI. They're very worried. And at least the kids I've spoken to, they might like it to help them with certain things, study for a test, do this, maybe vibe code something. But in general, even fifth graders are like, what does this mean for humanity? They won't use those words, but they do.
For the environment,
the ethics of it. Yeah, I agree, and I think that in a most idealistic world, our educators and experts confronting this technology, this could be a really amazing turning point that we've been wanting. I would say I've been teaching for 24 years, and I've been wanting this maybe the second year of teaching to a standardized test and realizing what are we doing here? We really need to reimagine our education system and answer that question that the kids often ask me, like, what are we doing here, right? And now that you can go on chat and get the info, get the facts, which you could have done on Wikipedia, which you could have done on Google before all of this, right? I think it's just getting faster and more available, because now they all have laptops in the classroom. I think I hope it gets us to a place of reimagining what schools do. And I agree. I think community and social emotional learning and really looking at the world around us and saying, wait, if the kids can use a computer to do all of this, maybe we need to completely change what we're doing in everyday classrooms, right?
Yeah. And, Randy Weingarten, our AFT president, she kicked off our conference on Tuesday with her State of Public Education keynote. And she was, really making that point of, one, I'm not surprised that students are scared of AI, because they're hearing the news that, those entry-level jobs that, I benefit from, you guys benefit from, aren't going to be there in the way that they're there right now. So you have that piece. But she really was making the point about the purpose of public education is not to teach kids what to think, it's to teach them how to think, and really trying to move away from that rote memorization. And so like those critical thinking skills, and I know Sarah Beth and I, we talk about that about just about every webinar that we do, and how do you kind of change. And and look, this is not a new concept, by the way. Like we've had this concept for a really long time, but it's just like it's so much more
years old at least.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
But I do agree with you, Sarah, that, and Kelly, that there is a window of opportunity. And like that's what we said. We said, look, the risks right now are pretty bad. Actually, we didn't even touch, you guys, the safety risks. And the safety risks are terrible. But or the motivation or the dependence or the engagement. Like one of the things I'm super worried about is, again, in my research on student engagement, and we talk about it in this big report, we found that 50% of kids said that they were regularly in passenger mode in school, in middle school and high school. And like if we don't shift how we're doing our teaching and learning with these kids to the way teachers have, as you say, wanted to for a long, long time. So we need to shift our systems. We're going to have way more passengers. We found that only like 4% of kids were in what we would call explore mode. We found basically that kids weren't just engaged or disengaged. They were kind of in these 4 modes, passenger, achiever, resistor, explorer. So, and then enter AI into this. And could it not be a moment where we bend the arc and that we say, you know what, the thing we have to focus on is the learning journey, not the end outcome. Because how else are we going to assess? And we know that's good for kids. We know it inspires curiosity and meaning, and, focus is not just on getting the good grade, but the process of learning. So that could be transformative, and teachers have wanted to do that for a long time. They just are, as we said in our book, are like squished in the middle, from the top from standards and from the bottom from parent demand.
And also, and then we'll move on to the next question, is like, at least in the high school level, especially public schools, I know some private schools they have other ways of giving them delivering college level education, but the role that College Board has on student curriculum, and it's all test-based. It's all multiple choice, standardized test-based. And when I heard you saying that a lot of the kids feel like they're, what is the term? They're
passenger mode.
Passengers.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, passengers. Yeah, they are. Unfortunately, when you're preparing kids for a standardized test, there's a lot of passenger mode that I would prefer to make explorer mode, but because of the confines of a standardized test, so we just need to redo the whole thing. Hopefully we can take this moment to do that.
I think, and I know, Kelly, you want to...
No, sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that was the point I was going to make, because that came up on Tuesday with Randy and the folks that were listening in, of like, okay, well, we still have these standardized tests, and like, so we're still being pushed into this like narrow box and stuff that we can't, move out of, because we're having to try to get kids to pass this test. So we've got this like double whammy right now of AI and standardized tests.
College board.
You know what? College board
but...
just came out with evidence to say that they just found that it makes no difference the amount of AP classes you take on college admissions after you take 5 AP classes. So that is something that we should all share around. But I was going to say that, to your point, I do think this is a moment for teachers because nobody knows what to do. Truly, nobody knows what to do. Everybody's in the dark. Everyone's trying. Like, I've done all this research. I'm out there talking to people and they're like, what do we do? And I'm like, well, this is what we found. These are our recommendations. And we have a bunch of them that are directional, like head in this direction, try this. But it's not super granular. Again, it was a 50-country study. But teachers, there is a space for you to come together and say, this is how we should do it now. This is what we should do. This and big picture, right? Like, this is what we should do in our classrooms every day. This is how we should use technology and not. This is, this is how we should construct our teaching and learning and our assessments. And I would really encourage you to band together with parents, because parents are in the dark and scared. And they want what teachers want. They want to protect their kids and they want to prepare them for a world of AI at the same time. And it seems almost impossible. But I think teachers and parents together have a chance of holding hands and shifting the system.
That is the perfect segue to my next question for you. So as in the whole, in light of the talk about educators, what educators and parents can actually do, as you probably know, the AFT has been building the National Academy for AI Instruction to help educators learn how to use AI responsibly and effectively. So from your perspective, what does it really take to prepare educators and students for this moment?
Well, I will say, I think this is a great initiative. I'm also on the advisory board.
We all are, by the way.
We all are. That's where we met.
Yes.
And in our report, one of the things we recommended, and it was before this was established, but we took the lesson from the Netherlands, which is partnering with government funded, and it's technology companies, teacher unions, and researchers out of a university, and they are working together to and teachers it's basically a teacher tech co-creation hub where teachers lead. So teachers are learning about the technology, but they're also like, this is how I want it to work. This is what you should do. And then the developers come in behind them, rather than the developers over here in a corner being like, here it is, use this, here it is, try this, tweak this. And my real hope is that, and I know that's part of the vision Randy has for this academy, in addition, of course, to getting teachers up to speed. But I think the thing I would say, is most needed at the moment is this idea of like really understanding how the online world works. In our report, we use the term holistic AI literacy, but I get a little bit worried because people say AI literacy and they mean super different things. What I mean by it is, how does the online world work? We teach kids biology to know how the living world works, and they spend so much time in the online world, they don't know how it works. And in fact, I never got basic fundamentals of computer sciences. Most teachers didn't. And we know that if kids know it's zeros and ones under there when they're looking at an AI friend or companion, they're less seduced by it. And actually, the more you know about AI, the less you use it. Really, surveys have showed that. And so I think that we need AI literacy that's holistic. And what I mean by that is not just here is a tool, how to use the tool, but how does this work? What are the ethics behind it? When and where would it be good? And how do you create with it yourself? And how would you design it? Because this is not physics. It's not the laws of nature. Like, we invented this. Kids can redesign AI. And I think they would if they were in charge of the world right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that is a great segue into really kind of like the protection side of things. So very early on, my colleagues that work with me in the Educational Issues Department at the AFT put out AI guardrails around safety and privacy and responsible use, and then later created another version for higher education. And so from your research, what are the most important guardrails and really kind of like ethics that we need to get right now for students?
Well, first off, I have a little bee on my bonnet around the term teach kids to use AI responsibly. And I'm like, how about we teach developers to develop responsible products? How about that? Because I just feel like that's a lot of burden on kids, on educators, and on families and caregivers and parents. Like, why is it our job to try to hack and parent controls? I have 2 teens at home, and it's really complicated. It's not easy. Like, I don't go into a car. I'm teaching my son. I just taught my son how to drive, and try to, be like, okay, let me design a seatbelt for you. Like that shouldn't be how it is. So I really think what we need, and other countries have moved in this direction, we need safeguards, and we have a whole section in the report around this that hold companies accountable and is product safety. And frankly, companies should want this. Like ethical companies, no company stands up and is like, I'm an unethical company, but ethical companies should want this because they won't be undercut by unethical practices. Drug companies have product safety, and they like the product safety tests because, again, they don't have unethical companies making crap fake drugs and out competing them. So that's actually something that I think is essential, and it's absolutely around addiction, data privacy, transparency, accountability, content accessibility. There's all sorts of crazy content that kids totally not developmentally appropriate. Hallucinations, fake news. I mean, there's a lot. At the core, I think if I had to tackle one thing, it would be age restriction. Really not letting young kids on there. And then only as they get a little bit older, really scaffolded use, so they really learn the power of it, but in limited ways for limited things. And I would say tackle the sycophantic design. Again, sycophantic design is agreeing with you all the time. This is the AI friend talking to your, a teen talking to its AI friend and saying, oh my God, my mom sucks. She asked me to clean my room. And the AI friend being like, oh, I'm so sorry. You're so misunderstood. Tell me more. I'm here for you. Versus a real friend who was like, yeah, dude, I have to clean my room too. That's the difference. And it does not, there's no technological, we looked into this for this report, technological reason for AI to be designed sycophantically. It can be designed antagonistically. It just sells better to be designed sycophantically. And in fact, the UK has just banned.
You're good. You're like, oh, I'm brilliant.
Yeah,
and
I'm the
UK
best.
has banned sycophantic. It's sort of passed legislation to say no sycophantic design of AI in schools. So, the European Union has a bunch of sort of safeguards, safety by design, etc.
Yeah, I mean, we're so far behind when it comes to the federal government. Stepping in.
States are stepping in. States are stepping in.
Yeah, the states are.
Yeah, which is good. And, New York, actually, before I even say that, oh no, I just lost my train of thought. But New York City Public Schools, where Sari Beth teaches, just came out with their guidance on AI as well. I don't know if you want to say anything, Rebecca or Sari Beth, say anything about that.
Go ahead, Sari.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, I am now on the spot because I read it, but then I didn't really. I just saw it and said, "Oh, that
you didn't do your homework."
But I didn't do my homework. But I'm now going to tell you. I'm gonna go on chat now. And just kidding. Yeah. So basically, they came up with like a color system. So like green is encouraged. Teachers can use AI to brainstorm lesson ideas, plan units, draft materials, handle non-sensitive scheduling, which I think is important. Yellow is caution. AI can be used with oversight for research, drafting, creating non-sensitive materials. But then prohibited, red, is AI, and this is really important, cannot be used for grading, evaluating teacher performance, determining special education services, or making disciplinary decisions. I personally, just as someone who's on the ground, this seems reasonable to me, but I'm curious to hear what you think as someone who has studied this beyond just, one classroom or five classrooms this year.
I think it is two things. I think it's super helpful to have clear lines. And in fact, clear lines will fix a lot of problems, because a lot of what we picked up was a lot of confusion. And one of the major risks we found was the diminishment of trust between teachers, students, and even parents. And half of teachers in the US say they don't really trust that their kids' work is authentic. So how can they help them learn if they don't know it's their real stuff? We also heard students the other way around being like, well, I think my teachers don't care about me because they gave me an option to use AI to give feedback. Now that's well-intentioned on the part of the teacher, but AI is diminishing this trust. So students are interpreting it as a lack of care. Or I think my, teacher's not grading my work. And then we heard that there's parents, not everywhere, but doing some crazy things where they take kids' graded assignments, run it through an AI chatbot, and it regrades it, and they bring it back to the teacher and like, you graded it wrong. So,
oh my God.
If you don't have trusting relationships, you've got nothing in education. And by the way, you got nothing in society. And like education is the base of civic development and citizenship development. So like this is really, really important in my mind. And so I think clarity is really helpful. It clears up some of that trust stuff. The red, it's interesting. I feel like a lot of educators we spoke to found that it helps, and we found studies that said it could help with assessing student work on certain dimensions. Grammar. Did it follow does it have the basics of the rubric? Does it have a 5 paragraphs if you ask for a 5-paragraph essay, whatever it is? And then teachers could go in and do the more subjective, qualitative, personality, creative assessment. That there's research that shows that shared collaboration could be quite good. So the one that stood out to me was like, never ever use it in grading. So I understand why they did that, because of the clarity need and the trust, but I wonder if that one shouldn't over time maybe have an asterisk against it.
Yeah, I think that I agree. I think that's I think that's the one that maybe needs more teacher input and conversation. Maybe break it down more about like it can be used this way, but also including this. So
supportive, you should definitely have the teacher in the loop, of course. Do you know what I mean? None of us want to be, apply for a mortgage and be graded by an AA agent and not get our mortgage and not be able to appeal, right? Which is going to happen. And no student wants that either and shouldn't. So, no. But there's probably ways it could help educators, speed up some of the just structural stuff. It's there, it's not. I think a little bit of collaboration potentially. But again, all this stuff is so new. Like we do need a lot more real time on the ground research around this with practitioners.
Yeah, and we're getting close to time, and my gosh, I feel like I could go on for another hour with you. This is a rich conversation.
We're gonna have so many more questions.
But I'm just gonna call attention to our participants that I remember what I wanted to say earlier when you were talking about the sycophantic nature. Just yesterday, there was a pretty major case that happened with Meta and YouTube found liable in social media for addiction and trial, and specifically really trying to hook in young people. And so, as we're looking at those state policies, federal policies, or these, companies should really be looking at like what teachers have been saying for a really long time about these tools and the impact, the detrimental impact that they've had on kids. And, if we don't fix it, like you're saying, like this is going to be the same thing. And we're already seeing that.
Yeah, that's exactly why we did this premortem. That's exactly why we had a lot of teacher participation in our research, because it's great that this finding of this trial with Meta the jury agreed with what we all know, every parent knows in America, but it's like 10 years too late. So let's make sure we aren't 10 years too late with
Right.
this.
That's exactly the point. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy thinking about the parallels now.
I will just say that, just in closing, if anyone, I would love to hear from you. I'm on LinkedIn. I have a weekly newsletter, but please, I would love to hear your thoughts, your ideas. I read a lot of, the comments and good ideas for research actually from interactions. So please do stay in touch.
Yeah, Rebecca, thank you. Definitely going to have you back, because I feel like these are conversations that, as the things shift so fast, we got to
we need another hour at least with you. This was so fascinating.
We can do a part 2.
Yeah, part 2, part 3, part 4. You name it.
Yes,
I'm in it. Yes. This was definitely the funnest webinar I've ever had this year.
And we're going to have you do
I'm back for it.
You'll do the news update with us next time.
We'll put your AI image in the news update.
Yeah. Okay, so to close this out, this is again, my son is coming into dance. So I guess it's the end where we celebrate the end of the kids.
Yeah.
Where I get the 6'7" kid in the background.
What a cutie.
Okay, leave.
Such a cutie.
Okay, this is when I say, hey, William, please stop. This is when I say, hey, there's a chance for me to win a wellness prize that I clearly need right about now, which I'm not eligible for because I work at the AFT. Bye-bye. So you can enter to win that wellness prize. I want to thank everybody. This has again been an incredible conference of 3-day events. I just am so inspired by all of our Share My Lesson members, our AFT members out there, and all the things that you guys do. And again, all these webinars, they're on demand. You can still get professional development credit for those. So you can come back and join and see some of the ones that you may have missed, because there were a lot of good ones this week. So without further ado, I'm going to share this That's a Wrap video with the Share My Lesson team, who works tirelessly behind the scenes to make everything happen.
We wear a lot of hats at SML, and we juggle everything else. Hats off to another successful Share My Lesson virtual conference. That's a wrap.
And that, my friends, is a wrap. Thank you so much. And by the way, that song I created that with AI, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. So anyway, all right, I will see you at our next
Thank you for being transparent.
Thank you. Yes. Bye. Yes. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right.